It is KCIM Sports Rewind here on this Tuesday morning. It is Tuesday, February 3rd for you guys here as we are joined with Assistant Sports Director Jeff Blank, Assistant Sports Director Mason Nealon, running a little behind as he does sometimes, so that's okay for this morning.
Yeah, coach interview with him this morning. I guess it either started later or ran a little longer than normal, but those are the things that we deal with. You remember those days, right?
Very much, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So good morning to you.
Yeah, it is a good morning. We got a special guest joining us today as well,
Yes.
And we're going to talk about an exciting Kemper win last night. We'll talk about that all coming up, but we'll get to our guest this morning, and Jeff, and this is a person a lot of people probably know in the area, decorated baseball career at Carroll, as well as playing at the University of Iowa, was an MLB draft pick, and we're going to be joined with Tommy Anderson this morning of Carroll.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's welcome him on. Tom, nice to get a chance with you, and I guess the first thing I can say is congratulations on the induction into the Iowa High School Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thanks for having me on.
Let's start a little bit with the honor and the award of going into the Hall of Fame. You played back in the late 80s here in Carroll and then went to the University of Iowa before being drafted by Houston. And being in the Astros organization for about 8 years or so. But, what was that like when the association or the High School Baseball Coaches Association reached out to you and said that, hey, we're going to induct you into our Hall of Fame?
Well, it was kind of weird how it happened because my phone started blowing up and people were congratulating me on the award, and I had no idea what it was.
Really?
Yeah, so I had to do a little research, and then finally I got a call that night from Lee Toole and told me about it. But, so it was kind of an interesting day. I kind of drove around not knowing what was going on.
So literally people were texting you. They didn't tell you what they were congratulating you for?
No. They were just saying, hey, congratulations on the award, and everything like that. They never said what it was for, so.
What was the conversation with Lee Toole like then when he finally reached out to you?
I've talked to Lee quite a few times before, but pretty much he just called to tell me that I'd been inducted and congratulations on it, and said he'd be sending out some paperwork for me.
I'm surprised in a way that didn't get released to you before everybody else was finding out. But what an honor and what a way to learn. So how was the induction ceremony? I know family and friends were able to be down there for you. So what was that induction ceremony like?
Yeah, it was really nice, and it was an opportunity to see a lot of people that I have not seen or talked to in quite a long time. So, yeah, I was fortunate to have family and friends there, and it was a very nice event.
Yeah, probably several people that that were down there as well and stuff. Did you see any former teammates or guys that you played against during your career, whether it be at Iowa or, here at Carroll or even in the Astros organization?
The only one that I can remember for sure was Rod Berg. He went to Kemper the same time I did. And then my teammate, Tyler Edwards, he joined me at the table.
What was that reunion like with you guys? Because I'm sure you had some stories to tell.
Oh, yeah. Well, the problem with Tyler is he remembers everything, and he tells me his stories, and I don't remember some of the stories he tells. But, yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah, Tyler is good at telling stories. I got the chance to cover him when he was coaching Kemper basketball for a number of years and chat with him every now and then. So did you have to give a speech at the ceremony, or what was that process like?
Yeah, I had to give a speech, and I'm not a guy that likes to give speeches, so it was pretty short and sweet.
Can you tell us a little bit what was a part of that speech?
It really pretty much thanked the organization for the honor, congratulating those others that were being honored that night as well, and then thanking my family and friends for being a part of it.
I know Coach Kafer, your high school coach, had some nice things to say about you in a write-up that they had put out. Has there been a lot of communication between you two since you got nominated and honored in the Hall of Fame?
There has not been any communication since I've been honored, but he has come through Omaha a couple times and reached out, and I I went and met up with him and talked to him why he was here in town.
Let's talk about your playing days here at Carroll. That's where probably a lot of our listeners here on KCIM are probably remembering you from. Sounds like you caught a little bit, and Coach felt like you could have had a career there, but that's not the direction you headed. So what are your memories from playing for the Carroll Tigers?
Oh, there was a lot of good memories because I did start for 4 years, so I played with a lot of different guys. But yeah, with Coach Kafer and Keith Peterson was actually the assistant coach also. But I was very fortunate to have my freshman year. We had a strong freshman class that did get a lot of playing time. So over the years, we got a lot of experience and a lot of games under our belt, and didn't do much. Postseason wise, I mean, we tried to a couple years, but we had our chances, but never made it to state.
I know a lot of athletes don't always look back at their career and remember games. It's those other moments sometimes with teammates and that type of stuff. But if you look back, what are sometimes the games or the moments in a game that are still memories for you?
Oh, we played in the Midwest Conference, and that was a pretty tough conference with Perry and Audubon and those people. And we also we played Kemper a few times. We played Harlan, and we did have some success against those teams.
I know you said Rod Berg was there. Any conversations with him, about those games you played against Kemper while you two were there?
No, not really. It was just catching up, with his kids, my kids, talking about where they're at and what they're doing now.
Let's talk family real quick. Tell us a little bit about your family.
So I'm married to my wife, Carrie, and I've got 2 boys. My oldest is Brandon. He went and played baseball. He went down to the Jayhawk League and played at Neosho County, which is the JUCO. And then he went on to play at Arkansas State. And then my other son, Blake, he played football at University of Northern Iowa.
So the love of baseball with your family kind of stays, and then football as well. So what is it about sports and your family?
It's just kind of, it was the way I grew up, and it was kind of the way that they grew up. So it just, I guess it was kind of in them from day one since they were little, whether it was football, baseball, basketball, they did it all.
As you know, I've gotten the pleasure to know your mom and dad over the years, and your sister Lisa, your brother-in-law, Jeff. But, for you guys, your sister still watches a ton of baseball. Mom and dad still watch baseball. What is it about the game of baseball that you guys love?
Well, I think, what's funny is a lot of people hate watching baseball. They think it's boring. They think it takes too long. But I just like to, when I watch it, I like to guess what the pitcher's going to be throwing, what they're going to do. Are they going to bunt? Are they going to hit and run? It's just, it's a thinking man's game.
Yeah, there's so much strategy, I agree with you, that goes into every pitch. It's one of the things I love about baseball. I do have 2 baseball guys sitting in here with me, Casey Miners, Mason Nealon. They're both Carroll High grads, so you got a connection there. They're also diehard Hawkeye fans, so hopefully they'll jump in here. You played down at Iowa and had a tremendous career. That's part of how you got drafted by the Astros. So talk about that career with Iowa, because both of these guys perked up when we started talking Hawkeyes.
Yeah, well, I went down there, and I ended up being the starting first baseman for the first 2 years. And then the way they did it in the Big Ten back then was we played 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then we'd play a couple midweek games. So I would be the reliever if they needed me during the Big Ten weekends, and then usually would get a start during the midweek game so I could get some innings in. But primarily my first 2 years was playing first base, and then my junior year they put me into the rotation for the Big Ten weekend games, and then that's where the scouts started finding me and then ended up getting drafted.
Hey Tom, it's Mason Nealon here. Talk to me about playing under Coach Banks. What were your experiences with him, and kind of what were the memories playing under him?
Yeah, a lot of them I can't tell on the radio. Probably as in every college coach, as you talk to other players. But no, we had a really good team. We were I couldn't tell you how high we got ranked. We might have been the 7th or 8th in the country my sophomore year, and we ended up making it to regionals that year, and then got beat out by Georgia, who actually won the College World Series that year. But that's back when they only had 32 teams that advanced to the postseason.
What was it that drew you to the University of Iowa a little bit, compared to other places that might have been looking at you?
I guess there wasn't one thing in particular. I had a chance to go several different places, but at the end of the day, I think the proximity, Iowa being close to Carroll, close to home, played a part in it, and they did have a good program going. So
I know your family's.
That's why I picked them.
Tom, I know your family's a lot of Iowa State fans. I think that was about the time that they dropped their baseball program. Did that impact your decision at all?
No, I mean, because it wasn't that wasn't even on the radar. Actually, yeah, I mean, I grew up a huge Iowa State fan. I actually didn't like the Hawks, but yeah, no, we. I think it was or I shouldn't say well after, but a few years after I was done at Iowa, where they dropped the program, because I know we played them a couple times.
Well, Tom, for you as well here, to get the call and kind of told that you were going to go play in the major leagues, talk to me about that experience as well, maybe transitioning from college to the majors and kind of playing there.
It was definitely different. I mean, it's not as rah-rah, and I don't want to say laid back, but it's more business-like. We're here to do a job. It's the schedule is posted on the wall. What time you need to be there, what time you need to be on the field. It just don't get me wrong, it was fun, but it's just pretty much all spelled out, and it's up to you to make things happen.
And Tom, you kind of answered the question in a way that I was just going to ask you here. So many people say that it's more like a job than it is playing the game. Is that the feeling you had, or not quite?
No, yeah. I guess I wouldn't call it a job, but it is more like a job because, I mean, after I would throw, I'd go in the clubhouse and get my workout in, so to speak, whether it be, more cardio, weights, those types of things. Then you'd go get a bite to eat and go to bed and, wake up the next day and you're going back to the ballpark to work out again.
If you can remember, what were the other teams that were really looking at you besides, the Astros at the time that came and scouted you and everything like that?
My biggest one was probably the Detroit Tigers, and Joe Robinson was his name. It was like that guy was in my back pocket every time I was throwing. He was there. And like I said, I just started really pitching my junior year. So like the Yankees, White Sox, there was quite a few scouts that I talked to. Actually, what really helped me with the Astros, we were in Illinois playing, and the national cross-checker for the Houston Astros was there to watch, I think it was Sean Mulligan for Illinois. And like I said, Joe Robinson was there, and he wanted to know why Joe had his radar gun out. And he said, I'm going to just check this kid out to see how he throws. Well, as Bill Kelso, the Astros scout that ended up signing me, told me, well, after about the third inning, he went back out to get his gun, and then that's how it kind of ended up with the Astros.
Was pitching where you were really happy when you were on the baseball field?
Yes.
What was it about pitching that just felt right for you?
Well, I think it's similarly to catching, because the play can't go without the catcher being ready or the pitcher being ready. So you controlled the tempo. You controlled everything. And, I mean, like I said, baseball is a thinking, man. As a hitter, you're trying to time the pitcher, and as a pitcher, you're trying to disrupt his timing. And I guess that's baseball is a game. It's an individual sport, or it's a team sport played by individuals. So it's an individual battle, me versus that hitter.
I'm going to take a little bit of a different direction here for you, Tom, a little bit. What's it been like getting to see, your kids and stuff on the baseball field and stuff like that, getting to kind of, not really relive through the days that you saw, but getting to share that passion with them?
And it was definitely different with both of them, and it was nice having a football guy. But with Brandon, down at he was down at Kansas, so we were able to drive down there, and he was a starting pitcher, so that makes it easy because we knew when he was going to throw, and then the same thing at Arkansas State. And then at the end of his career, he went to a late relief guy. And then with Blake, very fortunate with him. He was a COVID kid, so he was at Northern Iowa for 6 years, but he was a starter for 4 years, so went to pretty much every one of his games. And like I said, it was fun having a football guy and a baseball guy. But on the football side, him he was a left guard, left tackle. And it's as a lineman, you got a job to do, but it's not like he's in the spotlight throwing a game-ending interception or anything like that.
So getting a chance, I'm going to ask as a player and then as a father, what were some of the favorite places you got to play as a player and then watch your kids play as athletes at the next level?
Well, obviously playing in the Big Ten, we went to played at all those parks. We did play down at Texas A&M in a tournament. We did play up in Minnesota, which was actually played in a tournament, but we played in the Metrodome at the time. Then like I said, we went to regionals, and you think of regionals, you think of Miami, Florida State, USC. Well, we got sent to Waterbury, Connecticut for our regionals. So as far as the boys, I got to go down to Arkansas when they were number one and see Brandon pitch against those guys, and pitch very well. And then with Blake, probably, because they play the FBS teams once a year. We played at Iowa State a couple years, at Wyoming, and went to Hawaii.
Well, Tom, we appreciate you joining us here today. I think we could probably talk to you for a lot longer, but we don't want to keep up you too much of your time. So we appreciate you chiseling out some of your time with us here today. Congratulations. A well-deserved honor to be inducted into the Iowa High School Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That was Tom Anderson, as we mentioned, former Carroll High grad that was inducted to the Iowa Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame, and getting to talk to him a little bit, guys. Interesting story, a very, very interesting story. A kid that, from the area goes to play at the University of Iowa and then all of a sudden is drafted by the Astros and stuff like that. So really cool for a chance to get to talk to him and then talk about his induction and everything like that.
Yeah, and well-deserved. I've been here since 2004, and even prior to getting to know Jeff and Lisa and Sweet and Sarah, you heard about Tommy. I heard about Tommy growing up, in this area of the state. So you kind of knew, the legend of Tommy Anderson. And now to get a chance to see that he finally gets inducted into the Hall of Fame where he probably deserves, and now to get to catch up with him was a lot of fun.
And we will step away, take a break. We'll talk some high school sports when we come back here on KCIM Sports Rewind.
As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
We welcome you back to KCIM Sports Rewind here on this Tuesday. Casey Miners joined with Jeff and Mason Nealon here. Jeff Blankman, Mason Nealon. I shouldn't say Jeff and Mason Nealon. People might get the wrong image there. But we're joined with Sports Director Jeff Blankman, Assistant Sports Director Mason Nealon here on this Tuesday, and talking little high school sports now. For the last 10 minutes we got here, did a nice interview with Tom Anderson, former Carroll High guy, and now got the chance to pitch for the Astros and stuff like that. But Mason, we'll talk about the one that was big last night. Kemper Knights picking up a big win over Class 3A number 1 Storm Lake. You got the chance to talk about. You got the chance to call it. Talk about the game.
Have you recovered yet? That's my first question.
No.
Okay.
I have not. But I tell you, it seems like every time I call a game for the Kemper Knights this season, I come back and I say, well, that was the best game I've seen from him. That was the best game I've seen from him. I mean, I watched him play against Clear Lake, and I'm like, well, that was a really good game. I watched him play against Dakota Valley. I go, that was a really good game. Then I watched him play against Glenwood, and then against Grandview, and it just seems like every time it just keeps topping him. But I don't know if this season they can top that unless they get all the way to state and compete down there. But, man, I tell you what, there was some phenomenal athletes out on the court last night. I want to say thank you to Doug Wandiger for going as well and helping me out, and I'm excited to see Connor's highlights of that game. But it was a lot of threes, a lot of dunking up and down the court, and it was something special.
What was the difference then that gave Kemper the game? You had two number 1 teams matching up. What was the difference?
Kemper played very fundamental, solid defense, and what Sean Minahan had kind of said is that, you got a guy like Jaden Kuhn that's going to score. He's going to get 20, 25 points, but he said that specifically with Tanner Bading, you have 5 fouls. If you use all 5 and it's smart fouls, that's all right. I mean, it's okay. You're going to be guarding a guy like a Jaden Kuhn is going to go play at the next level. And Kemper moved the ball really well. The ball barely ever stuck. They shot the ball well to open the game. They had a little bit of a cold streak there, but even when they had that cold streak, you had backdoor cuts, you had screens, you had pick and rolls. Ryan Clare had a huge night down low. I think he had 18 in the first half, if I was remembering correct. But they just kind of, when something wouldn't go right, they would find something else to replace it, and then they were doing a really nice job of kind of just looking at the game from a different way than what they have.
And I know, and you take a quick drink of water there, but you told me, and then Doug calls me this morning on my way down here, and he's like, that might be the toughest player of the game that we ever had to decide on, and it's cool when that happens because so many guys contributed and played well and were a factor in that win.
Yeah, and I think we were between 3 or 4 guys the entire time. With that, it was tough.
Yeah, you can tell that you had that big game last night, right?
voices out for Mason right now.
Yeah, but what a win, Casey, as we
Yeah.
let Mason recover the voice a little bit. You had 2 number 1s. I think if there was any questions in anybody's mind that Kemper's good enough to win a 2A state championship, those should have been answered last night.
They should have easily been answered last night,
Yep.
taking on Storm Lake. I know that not that we questioned Kemper jumping up to number 1, but we're like, well, Unity dropped to MLC, who won the 3A state championship last year. MLC's still a good team. That'd be only Unity's second loss, so it'd be shocked if they jumped them. Yeah, it'd be shocked if they jumped them. But hey, they did, and they proved that they are probably the best team in Class 2A right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And now with the pairings coming out in about 2 weeks, if they can just kind of stay where they're at, not that they get a walk to the park. There's never a walk to the park, to get to the state tournament, but should have pretty favorable pairings if they can stay the course.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see who goes where and who they get in the postseason.
And I know every day I walk in, you two are generally sitting somewhere discussing what you guys think the pairings are going to be.
We try to figure it out, but hey, most of the time we're not very accurate on it. That's why we don't get paid to do it, right?
And I mean this in the nicest of ways, because I've got a lot of guys that I have a tremendous amount of respect for over at the state, but never try to figure out the pairings ahead of time because you're not going to be right. And that doesn't mean that they're doing a bad job. Their job is really tough to figure out where to separate everybody, how do you do it, and those kind of things, and to figure out what they're trying to do. I can't figure out, Casey, what you're thinking right now, let alone what they're thinking in Boone.
No, most of the time I can't even figure out what I'm thinking anyways either, so it makes it even harder. But
we don't even attempt with Mason.
Yeah. Speaking of basketball, last night, Carroll wins again. They picked up a win on senior night over Atlantic. They looked really good, probably one of their best offensive games that they've had so far this season.
And they've got a huge test coming up on Friday. They've been doing what they needed to do since that ADM win, and then ADM did them that favor last Friday night, knocking off number 1 Ballard. So now you've got Carroll, Ballard, and ADM as that ADM win over Ballard puts Carroll right back into the hunt to be able to win
And
a
if,
conference championship.
Carroll knocks off Ballard, there's a 3-way tie going into the last week of the season for that conference championship. So
big game, and of course we'll have that broadcast. Our what do you kind of correspondent? What do we want to call him?
Nick will be there.
Yeah, Nick Brinks, who lives in Ames.
Yeah.
So it's a nice short trip. I say that every now and then because I still get people that will say, "How come Nick does all the traveling to all of the the Carroll High Road games?" Well, it's because your conference is closer to Ames than it is to Carroll, and with Nick living in Ames, it's just a shorter drive to be able to send Nick to those games. But I think he likes it, especially when you get big games. Like
it's going to be a high-level basketball game on Friday night.
Yep.
We'll do trivia question real quick, then we'll get to girls state wrestling.
Yes.
Super Bowl going on, this Sunday for you guys. So my question for you today: do you know the teams that haven't played in a single Super Bowl yet?
Detroit.
Detroit's one of them.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's one of them.
How many is there?
4.
4.
One of them was a playoff team this year, and one of them should be pretty easy to guess.
Texans.
Yep.
Okay. Panthers, I know did. Trying to think.
This has probably been one of the worst teams in the NFL in history.
Houston.
No,
nope. The Oilers.
We already said it.
One of the worst teams in it. Oh, the Jets won one.
Wow, that kind of hurts a little bit. Thanks, Jeff.
Well, they have been one of the worst. And I can't say much. My Dolphins have been gosh awful since Dan Marino retired. The Chargers have been there. I'm trying to run through all the Cardinals.
No, it's not the Cardinals because they went to one when they had Carson Palmer
That's
and when
right.
they had Kurt
Warner. Yep. Trying to think of franchises that typically aren't very good. I know Tampa Bay's been there.
Oh man, if I tell you, you guys are going to be like,
Atlanta's been there.
Atlanta's been there.
The Bears won one. Minnesota's horrible in the Super Bowl. Sorry, all you Viking fans out there. They're 0-4.
I was thinking Buffalo, but they went to 4 straight.
They went 4 straight. Yeah. Wow, you're gonna have to tell me. I have no clue.
It's Cleveland.
Oh gosh,
No,
how do
that
you
makes
forget
sense.
about Cleveland?
That's what I said. How do you forget about Cleveland?
How do you forget about Cleveland?
Yes, so
they should have been in one. I think that you guys are too young to remember, but man, they had some teams with Bernie Kosar as their quarterback that got beat by John Elway and those guys for the right to go to the Super Bowl. That probably were the better team. And just didn't catch the break back then. So I think that maybe have been why I was thinking that they had made it. But yeah,
I don't ever remember the time that the Browns were good. Besides the couple years they had Baker there for after his career started.
Yeah. You got they literally with Bernie Kosar they were really good for a short period of time back. It would have been I think 80s or actually the early to mid 90s era or so. But yeah, every franchise for the most part's been good. Texans when they were the Oilers had Earl Campbell and Warren Moon years ago, but yeah, they haven't gotten to one. So
so the 4 teams were the Browns, the Lions, the Texans, and the Jaguars. Which find it funny because 3 of those teams, 2 of them were in the postseason this last year, and one's been really good the last couple of years. So they haven't been to a Super Bowl yet.
I'm afraid Detroit's going to slide in the wrong direction. Houston quarterback's got to quit making mistakes, but they're the one that I think's got a chance to maybe break that.
Yeah, let's hope. Yeah, at least get one of these teams a Super Bowl appearance. Girls State Wrestling going on this week, Jeff. You'll be down there. We're going to have wall-to-wall coverage up on the CB Sports Network YouTube page. We got quite a few girls that qualified, and it's great to see.
Yeah, 11 of them headed down there to wrestle. We'll have 7 in the Class 1A portion, which will start Thursday morning at 10 o'clock and run until 10:30. It'll be the first round, then the quarterfinals, and first-round consolations and second-round consolations. I'll just run you through here who's going to be down there. At 100 pounds, Goldie Davis of South Central Calhoun. At 110 pounds, we'll have Macy Rasmussen of Audubon and Emery Kramer of South Central Calhoun. At 130 pounds, we've got Sadie Smith of Kemper. At 135 pounds, Mia Heffley of South Central Calhoun. At 145 pounds, Kara Schutte of Kemper. And then at 155 pounds, Lucy Potoff of Kemper. And then the Class 2A portion on Thursday, the same rounds will go from 4:30 until 9. And we'll have 4 Carroll Tigers there. Bree Kiger at 120 pounds, Maggie Dirks at 130 pounds, Emma Grossman at 190 pounds, and Emma Daniels at 235 pounds. Now, Sunday, I caught up with 6 of those wrestlers. You'll hear those interviews as part of our audio coverage. Again, on the CB Sports Network YouTube channel, I have Bill Kane and Jeff Honnold doing all the play-by-play of all the kids. Now, there's going to be some times where those poor guys are going to be struggling to get everybody, and they'll get everybody, but you might have 2 or 3 wrestlers on the mats at the exact same time, so you won't get full, all of one kid's match. They'll probably be bouncing that coverage, and they do a great job of doing that. Both guys were college wrestlers, and Bill coached forever, and they know the sport extremely well. I'll be down there as well, so I'm going to be doing video interviews with all of the kids. Going to try to get that done after every single one of their matches. Those will go out on the CB Sports Network YouTube, website, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll also have a page that is being sponsored by DR Electric. And that'll have who everybody's wrestling, what round they're going to be in, how they did in that. You'll find the video interview there as well, and stuff. So looking forward to that. Jeff Storyhan will be down there for sure Thursday taking pictures. So we'll have free pictures to download with Mackey Motors is the sponsor there. So a lot of coverage. Those interviews that I did on Sunday when we don't have a wrestler on the mat and we get a 20-minute break, or those type of things where there's time, Jeff and Bill will, sometimes they need to go grab something to eat or other things when you're sitting there for 4 hours.
We give
whatever.
Jeff breaks.
No, Jeff won't get one, but Bill will. But those interviews will play kind of throughout their coverage over the 2 days. And then, of course, Friday, we've got 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then hopefully a Friday night session, which is the championship rounds. And you can find all of the schedules and all the times on the CB Sports Network schedule page on the website at sports.1380kcim.com.
Yes, we'll have wall-to-wall coverage for Girls State Wrestling going on Thursday and Friday. That'll wrap up KCIM Sports Rewind for this Tuesday. You can check out a podcast of it coming up in just a little bit on the Carroll Broadcasting website.
Western Iowa's news and classic hit station.